Good, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to all my travelers, all the travelers in the house, and all the outside listeners, all the silent listeners, everybody who will come in during this broadcast, and those who will come in afterwards. I want to say a very pleasant good morning to you. Thank you all so much for stopping by. Now, this morning we are going to be continuing reading the Bible. For those of you who have been here, you know what we do when we do over here. Each morning we come together and we read the Bible in um in an effort to understand it for ourselves, know the stories that's in the Bible, and to determine whether or not they are applicable to our lives today. Um, we have found some controversies, and um, it it's as serious as it is as comical. Some of the things that we have discovered in the Bible, things that we never knew were ever in the Bible because we were never told. Those parts of the Bible were never told to us. We were, told one version of some of the stories in there, and um, we have never gone to look for ourselves to see what this story was about. Why would they have written this story? Is this humanly possible? Um, was it just an exaggeration? Did they just make up stuff? Did they just pick stuff out of thin air? I mean, some of the stories are questionable at best, whether or not they are even possible. But anyway, we will continue to read. We are reading from Genesis to Revelation, and we are currently on the book of Second Kings. Now, yesterday when we started the book of Second Kings, we read how Elijah and Elisha um how their relationship was. Elisha used to say that he was following Elijah wherever Elijah went. That's how much he revered Elijah. And he followed him to Bethel, he followed him down to Jericho, followed him across the River Jordan, where Elijah was taken up by the whirlwind and having his mantle fall when he was ascending in the whirlwind, and Elisha taking that mantle and using it to do great things. He was able to part the River Jordan with it so that he could walk across on dry land. He was able to use it to do lots of command and miracles that he wasn't able to do before. We also saw where Elisha, on his way back to Jerusalem, how he was being mocked by some children, and as he was being mocked, he cursed them, and she-bears came out. Two she-bears came out and ate the children. Now we are going to continue the reading this morning. However, we are going to be reading for a shorter time. We are going to only read 2 chapters, and we are on to Second Kings chapters 4 and 5. So come along with us. Get your book Bible or your Google Bible, and let's read together. Second Kings chapter 4. Now there cried a certain woman of the wives of the sons of the prophets unto Elisha, saying, Thy servant my husband is dead, and thou knowest that thy servant did fear the Lord. And the creditor is come to take unto him my 2 sons to be bondsmen. Verse 2. And Elisha said unto her, What shall I do for you? Tell me, what hast thou in the house? And she said, Thine handmaid hath not anything in the house, save a pot of oil. Then he said, Go, borrow thee vessels abroad of all your neighbors, even empty vessels, borrow not a few. And when thou art come in, thou shalt shut the door upon thee and upon thy sons, and shalt pour out into all those vessels, and thou shalt set aside that which is full. So she went from him and shut the door upon her and upon her sons, who brought the vessels to her, and she poured out. And it came to pass, when the vessels were full, that she said unto her son, Bring me yet a vessel. And he said unto her, There is no more vessel, and the oil stayed. Then she came and told the man of God, and he said, Go, sell the oil, and pay your debt, and live thou and thy children of the rest. And it fell on a day that Elijah passed to Shunem, that Elijah passed to Shunem, where was a great woman, and she constrained him to eat bread. And so it was that as often as he passed by, he turned in thither to eat bread. Verse 9. And she she said unto her husband, Behold now, I perceive that this is a holy man of God, which passeth by us continually. So each time Elisha was going to a place called Shunem, he would stop by this particular woman's place and eat bread. And so the woman says to her husband, This has to be a man of God. He passes by here continually. Let us make a little chamber, I pray thee, on the wall, and let us set for him there a bed, and a table, and a stool, and a candlestick. And it shall be, when he comes again, that he shall turn in there. So here the woman is beseeching her husband. She said, This has to be a man of God. He passed by here so often. Why don't we just, just create a little room so that whenever he passes by and he stops, he can rest his feet, he can sleep. Let's put a little bed in there, a little table, a little candlestick, so he can stay there. And it fell on a day that he came there, and he turned into the chamber, and he lay there. And he said to Gehazi, his servant, Call this Shunammite. And when he had called her, she stood before him. And he said unto him, Say now unto her, Behold, thou hast been careful for us with all this care. What is it to be done for you? Would you be spoken for to the king, or to the captain of the host? And she answered, I dwell among my own people. Let's read that again. Verse 11. And it fell on a day that he came there. This he they're talking about now is Elisha. So Elisha is passing by the woman again. And he came into her house. He came for bread again. Remember, he's been stopping by there each time he's going to Shunem. He stops by this woman and eat bread. Now the woman has built the little room for him. So now he stops again. Verse 11 says, And it fell on a day that he came thither, and he turned into the chamber and lay there. And he said to Gehazi, his servant, so this he is Elisha again. And Elisha said to Gehazi, his servant, Call this Shunammite. This Shunammite is the woman who has built the little chamber for Elisha. He says, Call this Shunammite. And when this he now is Gehazi. And when Gehazi had called her, she stood before him. And he said unto him, that's Elisha saying to Gehazi, Say now unto us, Say now unto her, Behold, thou hast been careful for us with all this care. Okay, they're talking to the woman. You have been so careful. You have gone out of your way. You have done so well for us. Now, what is it? What is to be done us with all this care? So why are you caring for us so much? Why are you caring for us so much? What is this? What do you intend to get from this? What is it to be done for you? Like, what do you want us to do for you? Why? Because if somebody is caring for you so much, there is probably an end game. Like, so it is pertinent that he asks, ask this woman, what are you up to? You used to give us bread every time we pass by, and then you build a room so that we can stay in there. What is your plan? Wouldst thou be spoken for to the king or to the captain of the host? And she said, I dwell among my own people. And he said, What then is to be done for her? And Gehazi answered, Verily, she has no children, and her husband is old. And he said, Call her. And when he had called her, she stood in the door. And he said, About this season, according to the time of life, thou shalt embrace a son. And she said, No, my Lord, thou man of God, do not lie to me. Don't lie to me. And the woman continued, and she had a son that season that Elijah had said she would, according to the time of life. And when the child was grown, it fell on a day that he went out to his father to the reapers. So we had the son, but we skip out everything else about the son right there. But now we are at the son having grown. And he said unto his father, My head, my head. And he said to the lad, Carry him to his mother. And when he had taken him and brought him to his mother, he sat on her knees till noon, and then he died. And she went up and laid him under the bed of the man of God, and shut the door upon him, and went out. So the woman had this son Elijah. This is what Elijah did for her. You do good for me, I do good for you. So she been feeding him. She made a little room in her home for him to stay whenever he was on his way to Shunem, so he could rest and eat and revive himself to continue on the journey. And now he says this is what he's going to do for her. He's going to make sure she gets pregnant, she's going to have a baby, because her husband was very old. Not that old men aren't able to impregnate younger women, but I guess they were thinking because the husband is old, then she can get pregnant. So Elisha blessed her. She had this little boy, and one day out in the field, the little boy cries for his head. His dad said, Take him to his mom. He goes to his mom. He sat on her lap. She maybe buy him until she couldn't do anything else for him. Eventually, he died. She took him into her house and put him on the bed that she had made for Elisha, inside of the little chamber she had made for Elisha. And she shut the door. Now let's see what happened to the little boy after that. And she went up and laid him on the bed of the man of God, and shut the door upon him, and went out. And she called unto her husband and said, Send me, I pray thee, one of the young men, and one of the asses, that I may run to the man of God, and call again. Yes, so she wants to go find Elisha to tell him what has happened to her son. And he said, Wherefore wilt thou go to him today? It is neither new noon nor Sabbath. And she said, It shall be well. Then she saddled an ass and said to her servant, drive and go forward. Slack not thy riding for me, except I bid thee. So she tells the horseman, the man with her, who is the servant who is helping her to drive the horse. She says, hurry up, let the donkey let the donkey go fast, and do not slow him down unless I tell you to. So go as fast as you can, because she's in a hurry to go find Elisha. So she went and came unto the man of God and Mount Carmel. So she found Elisha in Mount Carmel. And it came to pass, when the man of God saw her afar off, that he said to Gehazi his servant, behold, yonder is that Shunammite. Said, look, Gehazi, look who is coming. That is the Shunammite woman. Run now, I pray thee, run to her, and say to her, it is well with you, it is well with your husband, and it is well with your child. And she answered, it is well. And when she came to the man of God to the hill, she caught him by the feet. But Gehazi came near to thrust her away. And the man of God said, leave her alone, for her soul is vexed within her. And the Lord hath hid it from me, and hath not told me. Then she said, Did I desire a son of the Lord? Did I not say, do not deceive me? Then he said to Gehazi, gird up your loins, Gehazi, and take my staff in your hand, and go your way. If thou meet any man, salute him not, and if any salute thee, answer him not again, and lay my staff upon the face of the child. Okay, so the Shunammite woman, decided that, well, she have to go find Elisha, because she told Elisha she didn't want to get pregnant. She didn't want to have no baby. Your husband is old. Elisha insisted he was going to bless her with a baby boy. He blessed her with the baby boy. And now the boy has grown up. And now the boy has died, causing her all kinds of grief. So now she told the astronaut to go meet him, to ask him, what is this you have done to me? What is this you have done to me? And when she got there, she tried to hold on to his feet for him not to leave. She wants answers. And Gehazi, Elisha's servant, tried to get the woman to leave the man of God, Elisha, alone. And Elisha said, leave her alone, because her heart, inside of her heart, is heavy. She just lost her son. Her heart is heavy. So leave her alone. But what I want you to do for me, take my staff, that is the rod, his rod. He said, take it, and hurry with her. Hurry with this woman back to her place. And anybody you pass by the street who salute you, do not salute them. And do not salute anybody with the staff. Just go with it and lay it on the face of the child. And verse 30, the mother of the child said, as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. And he arose and followed her. And Gehazi passed on before them, and laid his staff upon the face of the child, but there was neither voice nor hearing. Wherefore he went again to meet him, and told him, saying, the child is not awake. And when Elisha was come to the house, behold, the child was dead, and laid upon his bed. He went in therefore, and shut the door upon them twain, and prayed unto the Lord. So Elisha went in, left the woman and Gehazi outside. He shut the door, meaning he went in alone, to be in the room alone with the dead child, leaving Gehazi and the mother outside. And he went up and lay upon the child, and put his mouth upon his mouth, and his eyes upon his eyes, and his hands upon his hands. And he stretched himself upon the child, and the flesh of the child waxed warm. Then he returned and walked in the house to and fro, and went up and stretched himself upon him. And the child sneezed 7 times, and the child opened his eyes. So, guys, you see where CPR come from? You see where mouth to mouth CPR came from, guys? Ah, who would have known? Who would have known? So here Elisha stretching himself out on the child, giving mouth to mouth, and the child comes back to life. Now, you all remember when we were reading about, was it Elijah who had done that before? Remember when Elijah had gone after he had left the brook? Remember the Lord told him that he should go by the brook. He was going to drink water from the brook, and the river was going to bring him food. And then after the brook had dried up, he was supposed to go to, I believe it was Samaria. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I remember that. But where he was going to meet the widow. Remember when he had gone up in the chamber, the woman's son was dead, and he took the woman's son up in the chamber, and he laid upon the son, and the son came back to life. Now, here Elisha has done the same thing that Elijah had done. Bring back the child to life. So, indeed, Elisha has gotten the power, the strength, and the wisdom of Elijah. Remember, Elisha had asked Elijah to bless him with a double portion of his knowledge, and it seems like he has. Now, let us continue. Verse 36. And he called Gehazi and said, call this Shunammite. Now, the Shunammite is the woman that's the mother of the child. So he called her, and when she was come in unto him, he said, take up your son. Then she went in and fell at his feet, and bowed herself to the ground, and took up her son, and went out. And Elisha came again to Gilgal. So now he has left Shunem. He has left the woman's house, and he's gone back. He's gone to this place called Gilgal. And there was a dearth in the land. And the sons of the prophets were sitting before him. And he said unto his servant, set on the great pot, and see the pottage for the sons of the prophets. And one went out into the field to gather herbs, and found a wild vine, and gathered thereof wild gourds his lap full, and came and shredded them into the pot of pottage, for they knew them not. Why is he gathering vines that he don't know to put in the pot? Let's continue. So they poured out for the men to eat, and it came to pass, as they were eating of the pottage, that they cried out and said, O thou man of God, there is death in the pot, and they could not eat thereof. So this man went out to the field to go get the herbs for the pot to cook for everybody, and he just start pulling wild vines that you don't know what they are for, put in the pot that everybody is going to eat. Morning, my dear Joe. How are you doing, my love? So good to see you. Hope you're having a happy Tuesday morning. So this man just go out, grab some wild vine, put in the pot. So now the men believe that they are poisoned. So here they are calling out to God, calling out to Elisha to say, listen, there is death in the pot. What are you going to do for us? They could not continue to eat. But Elijah said, then bring meal. And he cast it into the pot. And he said, pour out for the people, that they may eat. And there was no harm in the pot. Okay. I'm not sure what kind of meal, corn meal. I'm not sure what kind of meal. But he said, bring meal. And he put the meal in the pot. And after he put the meal in the pot, people could continue eating without fear of dying. And there came a man from Baal Shalisha. Baal Shalisha. But there are some names you see if you know be careful to bite off the tongue. And brought the man of God bread of the first fruits, 20 loaves of barley, and full ears of corn in the husk. And he said, give unto the people that they may eat. So here comes this man who's bringing provisions, because that's how the people would do. They would always give to the king or the prophet, anybody who they revere, the first of their fruits. And here this man has brought the first. He brought 20 loaves, is the full ears of corn, the first of his fruits, for Elisha the prophet. Verse 43. And his servitor said, What should I set this before 100 men? He said again, give the people that they may eat, for thus saith the Lord, they shall eat and shall live thereof. So he set it before them, and they did eat and left thereof, according to the word of the Lord. So here this man brought only 20 loaves. Only 20 loaves. And some ears of corn. And the man is saying, the assistant, Elisha's assistant is Gerazi. And he's saying to him, you think 20 loaves of bread is enough to feed 100 men? Elisha said, put the bread in front of the men. Put it in front of the men and let them eat, because they are going to be able to eat, full their belly, and there is going to be some left over. And so Gehazi put it in front of the men, and everybody ate, and there was left over. So I guess this was like the Sermon on the Mount. Remember the story of the Sermon on the Mount? And the little boy with the much bread and for fish. But how was it again? 2 fish and 3 loaves of bread, I believe it was. And Jesus was able to use it to feed the multitude. Well, here, if we go by the Bible, Elisha is able to feed 100 men with these 20 loaves and have leftovers. All right. Verse 44, this is the last verse. Let me read this again. So he set it before them, and they did eat and left thereof, according to the word of the Lord. Here ends the reading of 2 Kings chapter 4. Now let's move on to chapter 5. Now Naaman, captain of the host of the king of Syria, was a great man with his master and honorable, because by him the Lord had given deliverance unto Syria. He was also a mighty man in valor, but he was a leper. Okay, so Naaman was a leper. That means Naaman was struck with leprosy, but he was a great man. He was an honorable man, and he was the one who had delivered the Syria. Verse 2. And the Syrians had gone out by companies, and had brought away captive out of the land of Israel a little maid, and she waited on his wife. Okay. So Naaman's wife had a little maid, what they call her, a little maid, who the servants had brought out of Israel for her. This reminds me Uh, Remember when we read the book on this foundation? Remember the little girl named Nava and Chana? Remember Chana married Malkesia? And then the little girl Nava was the servant, the bond girl in the house, bond servant in the house, and how she and Chana were close. Well, this sounds like the same kind of story. And I would think that those stories happened quite frequently back then. Verse 3. And she said unto her mistress, Would God my Lord, would God my Lord were with the prophet that is in Samaria, for he would recover him of his leprosy. And one went in and told his Lord, saying, Thus and thus said. You know, when they say thus and thus said, you know what that means? This is what this person says. You know, they are repeating what the person said, but because the Bible doesn't want to say, um, write it again to say this is what the person said, it just says thus and thus. So it says, Thus and thus said the maid that is of the land of Egypt. And the king of Syria said, Go, and I will send a letter unto the king of Israel. And he departed, and took with him 10 talents of silver, and 6,000 pieces of gold, and 10 changes of raiment. And he brought the letter to the king of Israel, saying, Now when this letter is come unto thee, behold, I have therewith sent Naaman my servant to thee, that thou mayst cover him of his leprosy. And it came to pass when the king of Israel read the letter, that he rent his clothes, and said, Am I God to kill and to make alive? That this man doth sent unto me to recover a man of his leprosy? Wherefore consider, I pray you, and see how he seeketh a quarrel against me. Oh my. So the king of Israel is mad. He says, Why are you gonna send me this man for me to recover this man from leprosy? Do I look like God to you? I cannot make people live, I cannot make people die. I cannot recover anybody from leprosy. Why are you sending this man to me? Verse 8, let us see what happens after that. And it came to pass, when Elisha, the man of God, had heard that the king of Israel had rent his clothes, that he sent to the king, saying, Wherefore hast thou rent thy clothes? Let him come now to me, and he shall know that there is a prophet in Israel. So Naaman came with his horses and with his chariot, and stood at the door of the house of Elisha. And Elisha sent a messenger unto him, saying, Go and wash in the river Jordan 7 times, and thy thirst shall come again to thee, and thou shalt be clean. But Naaman was wroth, meaning he was angry, and went away and said, Behold, I thought he will surely come out to me, and stand and call on the name of the Lord his God, and strike his hand over the place, and recover the leper. Are not Abana and Pharpar rivers of Damascus better than all the waters of Israel? May I not wash in them and be clean? So he turned and went away in a rage. All right. So here, Naaman has come to Elisha. You know, Elisha heard that Naaman went to see the king of Israel, and the king of Israel run him, turn him away. He said, Where you come to me from? You're not God. I can't cure your leprosy. I can't make people live. I can't make them die. Where you come to me for? So the king chased Naaman away. Now, when Elisha heard about that, he sent to call Naaman. When Naaman came to him, he said, Listen, go and wash yourself in the river Jordan 7 times, and you shall be healed. Naaman vexed. He said, But why the prophet not just come out to me? If you come out, why not just come out and touch me with the rod or something and make me get better? Why you going to tell me to go all the way to the river Jordan watching? Look how many rivers and brooks and streams are right here in Damascus. Isn't the same water? Is the same water? So why I cannot just go into the water in Damascus and be healed? So he's angry. He is angry. Naaman is angry now with Elisha. Verse 13. And the servants came there and spake unto him and said, My father, if the prophet had bid thee do some great thing, wouldest thou not have done it? How much rather that when he said to thee, Wash and be clean? Then went he down and dipped himself 7 times in the river Jordan, according to the saying of the man of God. And his flesh came again like unto the flesh of a little child, and he was clean. And he returned to the man of God, he and all his company, and came and stood before him. And he said, Behold, now I know that there is no God in all the earth but in Israel. Now therefore, I pray thee, take a blessing of thy servant. But he said, As the Lord liveth, before whom I stand, I will receive none. And he urged him to take it, but he refused. And Naaman said, Shall there not then, I pray thee, be given to thy servant 2 mules, burden of earth? For thy servant will henceforth offer neither burnt offering nor sacrifice unto other gods, but unto the Lord. In this thing the Lord pardoned my servant, that when my master goeth into the house of Rimmon to worship there, and he leaneth on the hand, and I bow myself in the house of Rimmon. When I bow myself down in the house of Rimmon, the Lord pardoned thy servant in this thing. Verse 19. And he said unto him, Go in peace. So he departed from him a little way. But Gehazi, the servant of Elisha, the man of God, said, Behold, my master has spared Naaman, this Syrian, not receiving at his hands that which he brought. But as the Lord liveth, I will run after him and take somewhat of him. So Elisha did not take the news that Naaman was giving him, because Naaman is so grateful that Elisha had given him instructions that he used by telling him to go to the river Jordan, and now his skin was like a baby's skin. But Elisha didn't want any payments from Naaman. He said, No, I don't want anything. I don't want anything from you. So Naaman left with the donkeys, the mules that he was offering to Elisha. But here Gehazi is Elisha's servant. He says he's going to run after the man and he's going to take the mules. Let's see what happened in verse 21. So Gehazi followed after Naaman, and when Naaman saw him running after him, he got down from the chariot to meet him and said, Is everything okay? And he said, All is well. My master hath sent me, saying, Behold, even now there be come to me from Mount Ephraim 2 young men of the sons of the prophet. Give them, I pray thee, a talent of silver and 2 changes of raiment. And Naaman said, Be content, take 2 talents. And he urged him, and bound 2 talents of silver in 2 bags, with 2 changes of clothes, and laid them upon 2 of his servants, and they bare them before him. And when he came to the tower, he took them from their hand, and bestowed them in the house. And he let the men go, and they departed. But he went in and stood before his master, and Elisha said unto him, Where are you coming from, Gehazi? And he said, Your servant didn't go anywhere. And he said unto him, Went not my heart with thee, when the man turned again from his chariot to meet you? Is it a time to receive money and to receive garments, and olive yards, and vineyards, and sheep, and oxen, and men servants, and maid servants. The leprosy, therefore, of Naaman shall cleave unto thee and unto thy seed forever. And he went out from his presence a leper as white as snow. So, so here Elisha has cursed Gehazi with leprosy because Gehazi has lied to him and deceived him. And so he says, the leper that is on Naaman shall now be upon you. And here Gehazi has become a leper and he is sent away from Elisha. So now he's no longer Elisha's servant. That's the ending of the reading for this morning, my friends. It was an absolute pleasure being here, an absolute pleasure reading the Bible for you this morning, and I, I hope you all enjoyed listening to it as much as I enjoyed reading it for you. Once again, I want to say thanks to each and every one of you who came into the live, and those of you who will be listening to the reading afterwards. Now, that's going to be it from me for this morning, my friends. Until next time, this is Trev from Trevessence, where your journey matters. Have yourselves a great day, everybody.